Good afternoon, dear students. Today we are going to start a new lesson in sociology branch, like one of the important branch of social science, that is a sociology. See, the new chapter is that a social issue is a problem that influences on many citizens within a society. See, when that social issue is there, that social issue it is called as a problem. That problem it is influences on the society, on the community, on the citizens. So that it can be called as a problem. That issue is there. What issue is there? That issue it can be called as problem. So it means today we are going to start a new lesson, that is social problems. Social problems. Yes. See, the man is a social animal. So, the man is a social animal means he has to live in the society. He has to live in the society. If he lives in the society means sometimes he may face some problems. He may face some challenges. So he may face some issues. So that issues it can be called as problems. That problems are there in the society. So that is the main thing. The intention is that we have to find the problems and we have to come up with solutions. Here to eradicate that problem or to solve that problem, here the role is very important. Whose role means it may be citizens, it may be people role, or else it may be role of government. What is the role of government? So what is the role of people, the citizens? That is important. Come to the point here, the social problem, the term is there. See, this is the term social problem. It is usually taken to refer to as a social conditions that it is disrupt or that damage the society. See, what the term is there, the social problem. The term is there. So usually we take these social conditions. In that social conditions, that social condition or that problem, it is disrupt or damage the society. See, when it is damage the society, what people we should do means we have to find that and we have to find the solutions. Means that social problem is there that should not be continue. The social problem that should not be continue. That should be we have to work on that. We have to eradicate that. If it is continue means it may damage the society. Whatever the social problems are there, that should not be continuous. So that should not be continuous. See, that should be like we have to work on that. We should not allow to continue the social problem. So we have to represent that what social problem is represent condition. So that should not be allowed to continue because they were perceived to the problem of the society. It can be converted as problem of the society. So we have to find out the solutions. Yes, in India there are many social problems are there. So many social problems. So which are those? It may be child labor. First problem is child labor. It is a social problem in India. See, like child labor, here we are going to discuss about very briefly. So, what it is child labor and like how the government is eradicating this problem child labor by enacting the many acts. Like what are the causes for child labor? What are the demerits of the child labor? So these are the things we are going to discuss. Another second a problem is that sexual harassment. So this is the social problem, it's a social issue. the big problem what we people are facing today means that is the second social problem is sexual harassment on children's. Sexual harassment on children's. And the third one it is female feticide. So the female feticide, it is one of the social problem like what we people are facing today. See, social like the female feticide is finding of the fittest of the gender, like what because of modern technology what people are doing to means here, like with the help of modern technology, like modern science and technology, the people are going to find out the fittest of the gender. If they found the female a baby, if they found the fetus is female means they are going to kill that fetus, they are going to abortion that fetus. So that is called female feticide or female ferticide. So like this is a big like social problem what we people are facing today. So what will happen if same thing it is happening means, for example, with the help of the modern technology, so they are going to find the gender of the fetus. If they found the female fetus, if they found like girl, they are going to do abortion. If they do like this means continuously, it is sex ratio will complete will be imbalance. So the sex ratio means boy and like girl, that should be equal. But in India, like there is no equal sex ratio; it is completely imbalanced. That is a social problem. And the next problem, social problem, is that hunger and malnutrition. So this is the what like it is a different problem. It is one of the social problem what we people are facing today means that is hunger and the malnutrition. So next problem it is gender discrimination. This is also one of the social problem. So gender discrimination means discrimination between like male and female. No, like in economic or politically or socially, so discriminating like how like between the male and female, that gender discrimination. And next social problem is that child marriage. Like this is a big problem like what our society is facing today, that is child marriage. And the next it is human trafficking of children. See, this is modern problem. I can say that it is a modern problem, big problem what we are facing today, human trafficking like of the children. So these problems, so what we people are like today we are going to discuss in this lesson. These are the main objectives. What are the objectives we are going to lesson in the we are going to understand in the lesson is the first like objective is that child labor is a problem, social problem. Second it is sexual harassment on children. The next it is female feticide. And next it is hunger and the malnutrition, the gender discrimination, the child marriage, human trafficking of children. So these are the problems we are going to discuss. These are the social problems. These are the main objectives what comes in this lesson. And next it is last it is steps to solve this problem. What are the steps are taken to solve this problem, to eliminate? So to eliminate this problem, it may be role of citizens, role of the society, or role of the government. So those things we are going to see. First, we are going to discuss the main problem. What society, what our society is facing today is the child labor, or it is labor of children, or labor of children. Yes, come to the point here. See, child labor. See, this is child labor. Means the labor of children of underage. See, the labor of children of underage children is considered as child labor. See, over like children are there, the labor. So means those children are working. If any sector, it may be like in construction, it may be if any factories or if any agricultural field, means the labor of children of underage children is considered as child labor. Yes, let's come to the point. According to our Indian Constitution, what it means child labor? According to Indian Constitution, according to Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution. See what it means. What is child labor? Like the statement what given by Indian Constitution. So what is child labor means? See, if the children below the age of 14 years, understand, if the children below the age of 14 years are working for financial consideration, then it is called as child labor. Yes, right now this what is child labor means according to the Indian Constitution, if the children, if the children below the age of 14 years are working for financial consideration. Consideration is called child labor. Yes. So come to the point here. Here the definition is there. What is child labor? So what it means? What is the child labor? According to the Indian Constitution, if the children below the age 14 years are working for financial consideration is called the child labor. For example, think the children are there, who are below the 14 years of age. If they are working wherever it may be, in the construction, or it may be in the factories, or it may be vehicle repair, or in the garages, or in the agricultural field, wherever, If those children who are below the age of 14 years, who are working for what? For financial consideration. For example, think if those parents are, those children are very poor means, if they are very poor, if they're very poor means they need finance. For what purpose means to lead their life. If they want to lead their life means if they need food, if they need clothes means the finance important. If their people are very poor means so what they have to do, they have to go for what. So they work for what purpose? For a financial consideration is called as like child labor. Here, so come to the point here. In these developing countries, so for example, what the developing countries are there in the world? For example, take India. So India is there, huh? So what developing countries are there in India? What developing countries are there in the world? Like example, India. Misuse. So like the children, they're misusing of children and their labor. Completely. What like developing countries are there. Like in the 20th century. What we are considering. Like some countries are there. Like before those countries are like colonial countries. They under the European power. So when they independent, so these countries are called as developing countries, developing nations. So here the child labor, it is a big problem. So why? Because these countries are misuse the like children's. They are misusing the children for what? For getting labor. They're misusing the children of and their labor. It's become a big social problem. Yes, as per the census, according to the census report 2011, according to the census report of 2011, in India there are 12.6 million children are under forced labor. Here, according to The census report of 2011. See, according to the census report of 2011, in India, there are 12.6 millions of children. According to census report 2011, 12.6 millions of children. Those who are, called forced laborers. See, it is called the forced laborers. What it means, the forced laborers means, here, forced labor means if any work or service which people are forced to do it. For example, if now I am telling the meaning of forced labor. Yes, the forced labor. It means, see, if any kind of work, forced labor means it is any kind of work or any service which people are forced to against their will. For example, think if the children are they don't have any interest to do that work. If they don't have any interest to do that work, forcefully they're getting work from children forcefully. So that is called as forced labor. Understand? Forced labor, it is any kind of work or any kind of service which people are forced to do against the children, against their will. So it is considered as called like forced labor. It may be under the threat of the punishment. The people are going to threatening them. So by the fear, so they will do the work. That is called the forced labor. According to millions of children are forced laborers. Yes, let's come to the point here. Now, like children are under forced labor. It may be where they are, like forced labor. It may be in the house or in the factories or in the agriculture and various like other fields. How it is in like 12.6 millions in India means like what about in the world? In the world means there are 215 million childrens like are in the forced labor in the worldwide. So 215 million children. 215 million. Yes, according to 2011 census report in India, there are 12.6 million children are forced laborers. And like in the worldwide, how about in the world? So there are 215 million children are called forced laborers. Those children are working where? Maybe so those laborers are working in house. See, if they are working in house or they are working in factories or agriculture or any other fields. See, those children are working in the different field. If they are working in house, maybe what domestic work is there. If they are doing any kind of domestic work, or in the factories. Like those children are like working in what kind of factories means it may be mining area, for example, in mining or production of crackers, explosives, kind of dangerous, like work. So those children are working in kind of factories and in agricultural field. In agricultural field, it may be seeding, harvesting, in that area. So the children are working and in other areas. So those children are working like in the different fields. Yes. Like how like 12.6 millions of children are under forced labor in India is whereas similarly 215 millions of children are forced labor in the worldwide. Yes. Come to the point here, if the forced laborers, if the forced labor is there means how it is impact on the children's. how it is impact on the like children. We are going to see that. We will understand the definition. What is child labor? Like according to the Indian Constitution, child labor means if the children below the age of 14 years are working in the financial consideration is called as child labor. According to some 11th century report, in India there are 12.6 millions of children are under forced labor. Why in the worldwide? What about in the world means there were 250 millions of children are considered as forced labor in the worldwide. They are working where means in the house, factories, agriculture, in other fields they are working. So next we are going to see that how the forced labor is impact on the children's. How it is impact and so it may be like physically or mentally. How it is how it is effect on them, how it is like effect on physically, and how it is effect on mentally. So those things we are going to see. Yes. Here, so this forced labor, as it reduces the intellectual and physical health of the children. See, this is the main impact of the forced labor. Forced labor of the children. Like how it reduces the intellectual and physical of the like children's physical health of the children's. Now we are going to see that what it is intellectual. See, intellectual means it is engaging them creative and mentally stimulating activities. For example, think if the children are going to do that, increasing the creative activities in the children's minds. Like what schools are going to do is they're going to creativity. They create the creativity, maybe like reading, it maybe like areas. So they're going to here intellectual means different things. Or solving problem. So this the intellectual things should comes in the students' minds, the children's minds. All things should be there. Now, for example, how should I build my team? So that is one of the skill. These kind of skills they are going to improve themselves. What a particular, a certain, I forget. Like next we are going to see that the important skill. Like problem solving. If any problems are there means so the students are going to try to that like how to solve that problem. How should I solve the problem? Like how can I come up with this problem? So like solving problems, so team building. Another one is risk taking. Like they are going to take the risk. Like sometimes it is dareness or reduces. Why? Because of forced labor. See how this forced labor has reduces the intellectual and next it is physical health. This is intellectual is over and next it is physical. What about physical? So the physically also it is effect on the children's. If those people are working as a child labor means it is effect on their health. Automatically it is effect on their health, children's. So the intellectual and the physical health of the children's. Building it may lose their problem solving. Why? Because the children are working in area. For example, working in agriculture area means these things they may forget only one way that work. Only construction means only completely, then they lose the skills, the intellectual. That is the main impact of the child labor. And the next is they disappear before the could they miss the education. So for example, think as I said that like child labor it means according to Indian Constitution, like the children below the age of 14 years, if they are working for financial consideration, so this is called child labor. In that times if they are like doing means labor means so they may lose the education, and if they lose education miss the education means it's disappear the before they could develop the skills. Before going to develop the skills all whatever is 14 to the age of 14 years out of the schools they are considered as child labor. For example, think if they are working for money or not. So if they are working money or not, if they are working in house or it has the child labor. Here, what is the role of government to eradicate the problem? See, not only government, our role also is very important. So the government role is that the government enacted some important, prohibition of child labor. The prohibition of child labor in the year 1986, Child Labor Prohibition Act. Later, it's amended as Adolescent Labor Prohibition in the year 2016. That is, later it changed as adolescent. Adolescent means the age between 10 to 19 years. You can see like some says that like 10 to 24 years. Somebody says that adolescent means. According to you, adolescent means it's like 10 to like 19 years. That age children are called as adolescent. Why it is called adolescent means in the age from 10 to 19, the children are going to do a socialization. It is socialization. So means those children are going to involve in all the activities. So they are going to learn all kind of things at a certain age. Now it is a socialization. So that is called as adolescent age. So especially those children are doing labor. So that's why to prevent this child labor, the government brought this act, Adolescent Labor Prohibition Act of 2016, or like the law has amended in the year 1986. That's called Child Labor Prohibition Act. According to this act, like as for the children above 15 years engaging in the dangerous work. So means these children who are below 14 years, the children should not engage in the dangerous works. And also children below 14 years, they are not to be taken labor. So we will have to learn that if we have taken, if violent, if the people they taken them as a labor means what are the punishment. So come to the point here, according to this adolescent prohibition act, according to this regulation of 1986 amended in the year 2016, according to this, no one children below the age of 14 years, they should not be employed in any sector. They should not be employed in any sector. Either it may be agricultural field, so either it may be industrial factories, either maybe it in any other sector or construction or in garages or vehicle repair. Any other sector they should not employ as a labor. If they're employed, if it means what is the punishment means according to this article 14, according to the article 14. According to article 14, so according to this act, the fine rupees of 50,000 rupees and 2 years imprisonment who are the violators. So according to which act? According to the Adolescent Labor Prohibition Act of 2016. According to the 14th article, if the person employed the children as a labor, the punishment is that, so the fine rupees 50,000 and 2 years imprisonment. So this is like what if they violate, so this is the punishment. And next come to the point, according to this, if any family engage their children maybe in their house or out of the house, if the family or if any family members, if they engage the children for work as a labor, so below the age of 14 years, if they are engaged, what means for them it is like 10,000 rupees fine. If for them it's family members or head of the family. So this is the second type of punishment. If the family, if they are violators, if the violators for them it is 50,000 rupees fine and 2 years imprisonment. And for family members, if they engage the children for any household work or out of the work, if they wish, or if financially, like in consideration finance, or it may be free. So that's for them family members like 10,000 rupees fine. As per this act, children between the age of 15 to 18 years, they are considered as adolescent children here, and these adolescent children should not be employed in any other dangerous works. So not be employed in the dangerous work. If they are violate means the same thing. It is 50,000 rupees fine and 2 years imprisonment, and for family members it is for 10,000 rupees. Here like if they are working, if the children are working in, means it is completely, it is a punishment. And next, according to the 1948 Act, means it is the Industrial Act. According to Industrial Act of 1948, so they should not employ in any other field. So where if they employed means in which area, means it may be, for example, in the mining area, like if any mining or the production of explosives or in the chemical production, in that areas they should not be employed according to this act, which act? Adolescents Labor Prohibition Act. Or in mining area, always like what people are going to do is they're going to hire the children in the mining areas. Now why? Because here like more machinery things are there. Here like children means, for example, you can see that chimneys are the cleaning of chimneys. So cleaning of chimneys means they are going to hire only children. So why? Because they are physically, they are very thin. For example, then if like we people are going to clean that chimney, we can't. It is chimney size, it's lesser than us. So that's why like they are going to use only children to cleaning the chimneys. In that factory area, they are going to use the children as a labor in the mining areas. And the next it is, we can see that production of explosives. Production of explosives. And the next, like iron and steel manufacturing. Iron and steel manufacturing. And chemical manufacturing. So these areas, like hiring the children for as a labor, it is completely prohibited. So if they have, if they hire means according to this act, so they are under the punishment according to the Adolescent Prohibition Act, or else the Labor Prohibition Act of 1986. If they hire the children in these areas, they are the punishable under this act. I hope you understand. So these things from like in the beginning you understood regarding like a definition of child labor. And the next it is the number of forced laborers in India, consensus report of 2011 in the world, and as well as like what are the like regulations which passed by the government. See that you understood regarding child labor means who are the children below age of 14 years who are working for financial consideration is called as the child labor. In India, according to some 11th report, there were 12.6 millions of children are under forced laborer. And what about in the worldwide? 215 millions children are under the forced laborer. So this, according to like this estimation, we can see that like the forced labor is reduces the intellectual and as well as like physical health of the children. And the children, they may use the education. They may lose the education. By this, what will happen? They disappear all kind of development. They disappear all kind of development as well as skills, and all of them we consider as like child labor. And next we studied regarding like acts, which acts are introduced by the Indian government. That is, the like Adolescent Labor Prohibition Act of 2016 and like the Law of Child Labor Prohibition Act of 1986. So these things are like we are discussing, and next class we are going to discuss like another problems, like what like we people are facing the social problems. As I said, like child labor, that's over. Next is sexual harassment on children, and gender discrimination, means a discrimination between like male and female. And next it is child marriage. So this is what social problems what we are facing today. And like hunger and malnutrition. And next like human trafficking of children. So these things we are going to discuss in the next class. So thank you.